Quote, "You are educated young men. Why don't you preach Lord Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu's message throughout the whole world?" Wait a minute. Let's check. Oh, boy, sorry about that. Let's see. Okay. Impressed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's bold conviction, I mean, they were still getting up from obeisances, and he's telling them to go all over the world and preach. Impressed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's bold conviction, Abai nonetheless felt compelled to challenge him. Quote, "Who will hear your Chaitanya's message? We are a dependent country. First, India must become independent. How can we spread Indian culture if we are under British rule?" Srila Bhaktisiddhanta replied that Krishna consciousness, the original pure consciousness of every living being, was too urgent to wait for a change in politics. Misidentifying with matter, suffering humanity was forever pursuing freedom through temporary, earthbound movements, including Gandhi's. But reconnecting everyone to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and our dearmost friend, was the highest welfare work. Struck by this masterful reply, Abhai's allegiance flew straight from Gandhi to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, whose mission would soon reignite Lord Chaitanya's divine movement throughout India. Okay, who's got the mic? Let's pass it on.
I accepted him immediately. Prabhupada later recalled, not officially, but in my heart.
Not officially. It wasn't another 11 years till he got officially initiated, but he was so struck with wonder. Nor was that heartfelt acceptance merely sentimental. In another Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Disappearance Day lecture in Hyderabad on December 10th, 1976, Srila Prabhupada further stated, quote, "So anyway, from 1922 to 1933, practically I was not initiated. But I got the impression of preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult. And that was the initiation by my Guru Maharaj. Then officially, I was initiated in 1933. So Prabhupada says the real initiation took place internally when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was telling him to go preach. That's the essence of the initiation. I got the impression of preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult, and that was the initiation by my Guru Maharaj. Then officially, I was initiated in 1933. Already a husband, father, and office manager at a Calcutta pharmaceutical company, Bengal Chemical, Abai decided to start his own pharmacy, expand the business, and also contribute to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's mission. So in 1923, he moved his family to Allahabad and started Prayag Pharmacy, which soon flourished under his diligent management. His sense of mission would also flourish as he studied the writings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and his Gaudiya predecessors, the disciplic lineage from Lord Chaitanya. I call this next section Initiation. In 1928, when senior sannyasis approached Abai for help starting a branch of the Gaudiya mission in Allahabad, he was delighted to contribute his contacts and resources and later become a favorite speaker and singer at the temple. By 1932, it had been 10 years since Abai met the saintly person he revered as his spiritual master. That autumn, when he heard that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was leading a massive parikrama around Vrindavan, the sacred place of Krishna's early pastimes, he briefly broke free from his business to join the pilgrims. Soon after he arrived at Koshi, the devotees were given the choice of visiting the nearby Sheshashayi Vishnu deity or staying to hear Srila Bhaktisiddhanta give his final talk before leaving the parikrama party. Srila Prabhupada. At that time, I think only 10 or 12 men remained. Everybody else ran off to see the deity. And I thought it wise. What can we see at this Sheshashayi? Let me hear what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta will speak. Let me hear. In 1933, while Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was visiting his mission's new branch at Allahabad, the local leader recommended a Abhay for initiation.
Yes, I shall initiate this boy, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said. He is very nice. He hears me very patiently. He does not go away.
He hears me. And Prabhupada said, and because I was good at hearing, now I'm good at speaking. Shravanam Kirtanam, right? Although Abhai's wife chose not to attend the ceremony, Radharani Dev, she didn't. She was never interested in being a missionary's wife. Very nice, pious lady, but she didn't want to encourage Prabhupada's missionary spirit. Although Abhai's wife chose not to attend the ceremony, a brother and sister were present as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave Abhai the initiated name, Abhai Sharanaravinda Das. Quote, the servant of one fearless at Lord Krishna's lotus feet. He also gave his capable disciple instructions to study deeply Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Prabhupada would later summarize as the nectar of devotion, quote, the law book for devotional service. Over the years, Abhai would meet Srila Bhaktisiddhanta perhaps a half dozen times, yet the talks were intimate enough to raise eyebrows. Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes I would talk freely with him, and the godbrothers would become angry. They would say, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. I thought, I may be a fool, but what can I do? With my Guru Maharaj, he would talk so many private things. I was only a grihasta, but whenever I came, my Guru Maharaj would be very glad to talk with me. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta even would pat the space next to him to say, you come and sit next to me. And the godbrothers was like, whoa, what is he? He should just fall flat, you know. Why is he accepting that kind of invitation? But Prabhupada said, what could I do? He insisted. And then the next section I call blessings, because in 1935, this was like a major year in Prabhupada's spiritual life, because he got 3 heavy, intense blessings. 2 were very kind of sweet, and 1 was very heavy. Blessings. Although an astrologer had predicted Abhai could become one of the wealthiest men in India, in 1934, bad debtors and cutthroat competitors obliged him to turn over the debts and accounts of the Prayag pharmacy to his supplier and former employer in Kolkata. After arranging the small pharmaceutical works to support his family in Allahabad, Abhai and a brother ventured to Bombay, seeking new sales and production opportunities. So, okay, if we're going to make it anywhere, if we're going to make it big in this business, we got to go to the big city. We got to go to Bombay. Seeking new sales and production opportunities. Lord Krishna, it turned out, had greater opportunities in mind. As in Allahabad, Abhai met senior Gaudiya sannyasis who asked him to help them start a mission branch in Bombay. His preaching increasing since initiation, Abhai soon helped them launch a successful center. On the evening of February 25, 1935, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's 61st birthday, Abai delivered an English speech and poem to the members of the Bombay Gaudiya Math, capturing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and his mission so eloquently that a godbrother dubbed him Kavi, learned poet. Okay, now this is where we have an audio, but we haven't figured out how to play it in this system, so... Okay, we're just going to have to... Why don't you give me the mic? Yeah, I'll just try to amplify it a little bit from my teeny laptop speakers. There's Prabhupada as a Grihastha, businessman. And let's see. Especially pleasing to his spiritual master was the couplet, Absolute ascension thou hast proved, impersonal calamity thou hast moved.
Absolute ascension thou hast proved, impersonal calamity thou hast moved.
Prabhupada just recited that during one of his... He would always talk about his Guru Maharaj on the occasion of the Avirbhav and Tirabhav of his Guru Maharaj. So he actually said the stanza. Yeah. When Abai submitted the speech and poem to the mission's English journal, The Harmonist, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta instructed the editor, here's the blessing. Whatever he writes, publish it. Wow. That's huge. All of a sudden, everybody knows that, Abai Charanavinda, he's an intimate disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and he was only 2 years just initiated. Okay, here, So that was the first one. That was in February 1935, and in that July, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came to install the deity of Lord Krishna in Bombay, where Prabhupada happened to be, and was agreed to help. It was Sridhar Maharaj and Bhakti Saranga Maharaj launched another center in Bombay. Okay, well that was the same place, but anyway, this is a different blessing. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta came there. That's the occasion. The leader, Bhakti Saranga, said that much of the work was due to Abai Babu, because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta saw it was very nice, a lot of preaching going on, a lot of literature distribution, everything is very clean, paka. So Bhakti Saranga said, well, it's really Abai Babu. Why is Abai living separately? He asked. He should be president of the Bombay Center. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied, it is better that he is living outside your company. First, a little glimpse of Bhaktisiddhanta seeing what's coming, right? Outside your company, he will do. When the time comes, he will do everything himself. What? He will do everything himself. You don't have to recommend him. Leave him alone. So Prabhupada wasn't there at the time. He wasn't there. I think he was traveling. No, he was just trying to, get something going with the business. He wasn't there when Guru Maharaj said that. Mystified by what he heard his spiritual master had said, so he heard about it. They told him this is. So he will do everything. Prabhupada later reflected. Now this reflection happened way at the end of Prabhupada's time. It happened in January. It's 77. Prabhupada later reflected, quote, that means he was so kind that he expected I shall do something. That was my asset, his blessing. So he's giving all the credit to his Guru Maharaj. And I was thinking that this mission must be done very nicely. So desire was there, and maybe blessing was there. Yes, there was no question of qualification. He was giving credit to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta for by that time, the whole success of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. Okay, so the third blessing, very heavy. There they are, Radha Kund. You can see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's, the concern on his face. There's Prabhupada holding Mathura Mohan, the little son. And again, there are the sannyasis behind. There's the Grihastha, Acharya Aravinda Das with Guru Maharaj. He wants to talk to him. There they are at Radha Kund. November 1935 once again found Abai with his spiritual master on Vrindavan Parikrama. This time at the most sacred place for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Radha Kund. Walking with his intimate disciple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta confided in Abai grave concerns about dissension among their ranks. Since a wealthy Calcutta patron had constructed a palatial headquarters for the mission, we're going to go there today, Bagh Bazar. His senior disciples have been quarreling over who would have the best room. If in his presence his leading preachers were becoming attached to position and opulence, what would happen in his absence? Deeply concerned, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said to Abai, Agum Varbe. Is that here? No. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, whose turn? Oh no, wait a minute. It's not quite. Here we go. Okay. There will be fire. One day there will be fire in the Calcutta Gaudiya mission, and that fire of party interests would spread and destroy. It's like fire destroys, so this dissension would destroy the mission. Okay, Mataji. Whoop.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta then said directly to Abai, Amar Ichha Chita Kichu by Karma. I had a desire to print some books. If you ever get money, print books.
Standing by Radha Kund and beholding his spiritual master, Abai felt the words deeply enter his own life. If you ever get money, print books. And there, my friends, is the origin of book printing and book distribution in ISKCON, right at Radha Kund in November 1935. Prabhupada told us. How do I even know any of this stuff? Because Prabhupada told us this. So he looked me, right in the eye and said that. If you ever get money, print books. I wish I could tear the marble off that palace and print books. Ooh. That grave blessing highlighted a grave reality in Abai's life. Although he was trying to execute his spiritual master's mission by becoming wealthy, that was what he thought he could do. Okay, if I'm destined to become wealthy, then I'll become wealthy. And then when I'm in Vanaprastha and I have all this money, then with all my assets I can do the mission. Krishna had other plans, right? Although he was trying to execute his spiritual master's mission by becoming wealthy, his Bombay business ventures were not bearing fruit. Krishna wasn't allowing it. Despite Abai's assurance he had new plans to expand, his situation especially disturbed his wife. Whenever Abai visited his family in Allahabad, he tried to involve her in preaching programs at home. But when interested guests would come, she stayed with the children in another room, sipping British tea. There's a little hint of what's to come, right? a T or an E, 20 years later. And the side, okay, now, I added this edition of the presentation. This is a little memory from a godbrother of mine. Abhiram Prabhu. At one point he was the president in Kolkata at the temple. So, because sometimes hearing about the whole pastime of Prabhupada with his wife, you begin to think that Radharani Day is the villain, right? No, and Prabhupada is going to say something. He said it to Abhiram. Listen to what he said to Abhiram. Because Abhiram was Prabhupada's nurse in his last year. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the servant secretary. Abhiram was the nurse. So sometimes TKG and others, Bhakti True Maharaj, they weren't in the room, but Prabhupada, he would say things that nobody else heard. And there was no tape recorder. But Abhiram heard it, and he's passing on this. Let's see. And the side is in order here. Although Radharani's day's tea habit would later become the trigger for her husband to leave her and their grown children, in 1976, Prabhupada said, this is in 76 actually, that's a little earlier, with some remorse, Prabhupada said with some regret, some remorse, to Abhiram Prabhu. So this is what Prabhupada said, according to Abhiram. Quote, "My wife was very tolerant. That was her great qualification. And to this day, I regret how harsh I was. But what can I do? I have a hot temper." So, and sometimes we would catch that temper. That's what I say here. Prabhupada's disciples could also catch his temper in his pure service to Krishna. I mean, if you hear Hari Shari and Srila Prabhu, especially, their memories of being the servant of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada got angry, you didn't want to be anywhere near him. It was just like Lord Nrsingadev. And he would start screaming, they would just want to shriek away and not be there. It wasn't fun. But it was also out of his love for us that he had to correct us when it was especially, needed. And sometimes it was really heavy. Okay. The next section I call confirmation. Although Abhay had already contributed much to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's Gaudiya mission, donating money, helping launch the Allahabad and Bombay centers, submitting excellent English offerings, in December 1936, he wrote his spiritual master a letter, asking if there was some way he could contribute more. Okay, so here it is. Who's got the mic? Okay.
I'm a householder. Sometimes I give monetary help while I cannot give you direct service. Is there any particular service I can do?
Prabhupada later recalled the highlights of his spiritual master's reply. So read that. Oh, sorry.
I am fully confident that you can explain in English our thoughts and arguments to the people. This will do to yourself as well as to your audience. This will do much good to yourself as well as to the people.
Okay, if the mic's not on, you got to speak louder. All right, more. There's more.
I really hope that you can develop yourself into a very good English preacher if you serve the mission to inculcate the noble impressions of Lord Chaitanya's teaching in the people in general as well as philosophers and religionists.
Sound familiar? This is a more elaborate version of what he heard 14 years earlier. A little more than a fortnight after Abhay read this letter, his spiritual master passed away. The same instruction he had received at their first meeting was reconfirmed. His Guru Maharaj's order was now the very purpose of his life. Wow. Okay. So, oops. That was a little premature, but it's coming. The next section I call war. The quote, fire in the mission broke out almost immediately. Although Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had clearly ordered his disciples to form a governing body and work, quote, conjointly, some leaders began competing to replace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta as the mission's supreme spiritual authority as well as the controller of its assets. Yesterday at the Bhaktivedanta Research Center, we actually saw the Bengali transcript of the disciple who took the notes when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was speaking his last will and testament. It must have been in Bagh-Bazar the night before, and there was the notes in Bengali of what Bhaktisiddhanta was telling them. Okay, the fighting ended up in the courts, but because none of the parties was authorized, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta didn't say to have a successor. He said, form a GBC, work cooperatively. He used the phrase conjointly. You don't replace the founder of Acharya, you simply cooperate to serve his mission. Carry on initiations. The unified Gaudiya mission Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had led throughout India and beyond fragmented into isolated temples. Quote, living outside, Abhay felt protected by the order Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had given him. Yet the dispersion of the unified Gaudiya mission was heartbreaking. In 1938, he dropped his Bombay ventures and moved his family back to Kolkata. To maintain, he began to produce pharmaceuticals in the front room of his flat. Deepening his study of his spiritual master's books, he spoke Krishna-conscious philosophy to whoever would listen, determined to somehow carry on Lord Chaitanya's movement. In 1939, Abhay wrote an introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, indicating his intention to translate and comment on the entire text. Impressed by Abhay's writing and preaching, two sannyasi godbrothers gave him the title Bhaktivedanta. That's where Bhaktivedanta comes in Prabhupada's title. Quote, one knows the end of knowledge, devotion to Krishna. When World War II broke out that year, and it was Srila Maharaj and Bhakti Saranga Maharaj, they gave him that title. Because they were impressed by that Gita introduction. That was like the first draft of what would become our Gita introduction. When World War II broke out that year, England drafted India into the war effort. In Calcutta, Abhay would endure bombs and man-made food shortages as he and a few close godbrothers, survivors of the Gaudiya mission's breakup, continued to study, write, and preach the remedy for all suffering, Krishna consciousness. Okay. So, whose turn?
In 1944, on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance day, Abhay launched an English devotional journal, Back to Godhead.
Right, and that masthead, and the date is 1958. We saw this yesterday too in the BRC. That masthead didn't come along until much later. But it was just if you've ever seen them, just plain sheets with no graphics or anything. Offering spiritual solutions. Yeah, you see 20th October too. Yeah, in the masthead. Prabhupada, he took sannyas in 59.
Goswami Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta.
Where is it?
edited and founded under direct order of His Divine Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada by Goswami Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta.
Yeah. Because he didn't take, it's September 59, he actually took from Keshav Maharaj. Yeah, that's funny, huh? I don't know. Either that's a miss. Yeah, Vanaprastha is a Vanaprastha, but yeah. Okay. That's a good catch there. I'm going to have to do some research and find out how that, if Prabhupada ever said anything to Hari Shari, or I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So in 1944, on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's appearance day, Abhay launched an English devotional journal, Back to Godhead, offering spiritual solutions to material life's endless problems. BTG saw print only twice that year, owing to the Indian government's severe rationing of supplies, including paper. Abhay's messages were scarcely noticed, much less valued. And even less so at home. After the war ended in 1945, Abhay saw a good opportunity to expand his pharmaceutical operation in Lucknow. There was a big building. It was a first-class building, but it was abandoned because it was ghostly haunted. Nobody wanted to buy it. So Prabhupada didn't have a problem because he knew he could get rid of the ghosts by just going through the place with Hare Krishna Kirtan and conch, blowing. So he got it. Abhay saw a good opportunity to expand his pharmaceutical operation in Lucknow, 600 miles northwest of Kolkata. With enough profit potential to expand BTG and better situate his family, Abhay made a big capital investment. He practically gave everything he had, all his savings, to buy this. But when he called the family's best servant to come help him, his name was Gauranga, the family would not let him go because he was good. And they just wanted to have him for himself, for themselves. Indifferent to Abhay's preaching ambitions, or even an opportunity to improve their own living standard. It was going to be, there was enough room and enough facility there for the family, and to expand back to Godhead, and to do the pharmaceutical business. The family he was supporting was now becoming a useless burden. In the Vedabase, Bhaktivedanta Vedabase, is a letter from Prabhupada to Gauranga. Because he's saying, they won't let you come? What? And so Prabhupada said, I am no longer interested in these people. These people, his family members, his wife and children, they don't want to come. Yeah. Phone off, please. But he was still dutiful. He didn't abandon them yet. It would be another 9 years before he just walked out on them, the tea or me. That was the last straw. Around this time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta began appearing to Abhay in dreams, asking him to enter the renounced stage of life and preach full time. Yet he felt unprepared to live as simply as his renunciant godbrothers. So, Prabhupada would later recall, those dreams horrified him. If you've heard the recordings. Oh, I was horrified, Prabhupada told us. Horrified. Guru Maharaj is calling me? Oh. Uncooperative though his family was, he dutifully continued to maintain them while looking for opportunities to advance his mission. And the next section is called The Spark. Although victorious in the war, Britain would soon lose India to Mahatma Gandhi's nationalist movement. The triumph of his former hero gave Abhay an idea. Let's see if this is to be read. Oh. Yeah, okay, who's going to read? Whose turn?
My friend, you should therefore take a note of learning from your insinuate friends like me that unless you retire timely from politics and engage yourself 7% in the preaching work of Bhagavad Gita, which is the real function of the Mahatmas, you shall have to mind with such inglorious thoughts as Mussolini, Hitler, Tajos, Method.
He's naming all these World War II characters, right? Who didn't last. The Axis powers that lost the war. So he's warning him, it's going to be bad for you. And then it read like a prophecy, because, okay. Prabhupada later recalled, I wanted to start this movement from India. I even requested Mahatma Gandhi that, Mahatmaji, you have got some respect all over the world, and you are known as a great student of Bhagavad Gita. Now you have got your Swaraj, the Britishers have gone away, let us preach Bhagavad Gita. He was saying, look, I can show you the real, the message of the Gita, and you can not only help India, but the whole world. And then Prabhupada said, my letter might have reached him or not reached him. And then he said, the secretaries might have rejected, but then he was killed. All right, Mataji's got the mic. All right. Oh.
The assassination of Mahatma Gandhi would soon give the first shape to Srila Prabhupada's plan to relieve the Gaudiya mission.
Revive. The Gaudiya mission. Abhai's letter now proved prophetic. Although he had hoped to engage Gandhi to advance Lord Chaitanya's mission, Gandhi's demise would soon give the first shape to Abhai's plan to revive the Gaudiya mission. As Prabhupada later recalled, I had my plans and Krishna had his. So you'll see in the beginning of tomorrow's lesson what the first shape was. So, here we go. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to go now to the learning outcomes. Before we take questions. Good, we're early, which is because I wanted to end early today because we have to tour early. Okay, who's got the mic? Prabhu, you can just read all the learning outcomes.
Lesson 4. His mission's roots, learning outcomes. By now, we should be able to recall some early signs of Srila Prabhupada's divine destiny. Identify the seed of Srila Prabhupada's worldwide mission. Recall why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta initiated Abhay Charandhe. Identify 3 special blessings Srila Prabhupada received from his Guru Maharaj in 1935. Recall how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta confirmed Srila Prabhupada's mission in life. Recall what inspired Srila Prabhupada to start Back to Godhead magazine. Recall why Srila Prabhupada's letter to Mahatma Gandhi was prophetic.
Yeah, oops. Okay, so are there any questions or comments? I'll read the transition while you gather your thoughts. Transition. In the next lesson, we'll see how Srila Prabhupada's plan to revive the Gaudiya mission eventually manifested as ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But there were a couple of beta versions, as they say in computer, a couple of dry runs in India before that. Okay. Well, we're going to end really early unless I see some hands. Are we through? And remember, after we bow down, then you don't come up to me and you say, Prabhu, I didn't want to say this in front of all the devotees, but can I ask you a question? No, you can't do that. You got to do it here and now for the benefit of everybody and also online. So, okay, I guess it was so clear that no questions or comments. Going once. Oh, there we go.
Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Just not a question, one comment. There is one clip of Srila Prabhupada. He's in a morning walk with some of his devotees, and one of the devotees. So in that clip, one of the devotees, Prabhupada's disciple, he mentions about this New York twin towers, which were being constructed in 1970s. Yes. And Prabhupada, he immediately tells the disciples, they're constructing the tallest towers in the whole world. Prabhupada immediately comments, it will be the lowest one day.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah. Do you know
I have the clip in my mobile. Maybe I can.
Okay.
That was his first reaction. His disciple tell they are constructing the world's tallest buildings in New York. Probably it will be the lowest one day.
Wow. Yeah.
So prophetic.
Yeah. Just like when Prabhupada went to Russia in 1971, he said, the people are not happy. This will 20 years. In 20 years, this will be finished. And in 20 years, it was finished. The whole Soviet thing collapsed. Yeah. Well, that's, when you treat Kalagya, you can see past, present, and future. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
See, you told that how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appreciated Srila Prabhupada for that he likes to hear. So, can you give some practical, can you tell something about how we can improve our hearing, how we can also develop that eagerness, that enthusiasm, that whatever is required so that we can also hear following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada so that we can make Guru Parampara happy and Nitai Gauranga happy.
Yeah. Eagerness to hear. That's the question, how to develop eagerness to hear. It's just, the more we hear, there's different levels of hearing. It's not just... now this, I'm about to tell you something that it comes from the self-help kind of gurus, and there's five. They identify 5 levels of hearing. One level is where you're hearing it, but you're not really, you don't care about what you're hearing, so you're ignoring it. You're hearing, but you're ignoring. So we shouldn't be like that. Or sometimes when Prabhupada would be lecturing, even Prabhupada would be lecturing, and then somebody would be sleeping right in front of him, And so Prabhupada would say, and Prabhupada, he would say different things, but he would basically, chastise the person for falling asleep. So hearing. So he wasn't hearing. He chose to, indulge his fatigue. Sometimes Prabhupada would send the person out of the room. Okay, go take rest. If you're so, tired you can't hear, then go take rest. Or here's another thing. Sometimes Prabhupada would see. This is famous for Jayananda Prabhu would be sleeping, but he was working so hard that when Jayananda sat down, he would come in late usually because he was so busy, doing everything nobody else wanted to do, like fix the cars and fix the plumbing and, because he had a degree in mechanical engineering from Ohio State University. So he knew how to fix things. He knew how to do things. So, but Prabhupada knew he was so, he was 24/7 practically engaged in service. So when he'd come in, he would sometimes promptly just fall asleep. But Prabhupada would say, "Do not disturb him." So, yeah. So okay. So we shouldn't, we shouldn't ignore what we're hearing. Or here's another one. Sometimes another level up is we're pretending to hear. And here's how they describe that. Did you ever talk to somebody and you're having a conversation, but they're so uninterested in what you have to say that they're just sort of, maybe they're looking at their cell phone or they're looking everywhere but at you, right? Or they're looking past you, and it's annoying because you want to tell the person something, you want to have an exchange, but they're not interested. So pretend hearing. Another level is hearing, but with the motive to simply rebut, counter what you're saying. Sometimes you hear Prabhupada in the recordings, and I heard him say this personally. Try to understand. Just try to understand, right? Try not to misunderstand. Don't take what I'm saying and twist it around your desires or your. So you're talking to someone and they're hearing you, but they're just waiting for a pause, for you to pause so they can jump in and say something to counter what you're saying. And not in a friendly way, but they're just trying to, show that they know more than you. Right? So that's pretend hearing. And then finally we get to the fourth level. This is the level that we should strive for. And there's even a level beyond that. Attentive hearing. And this is even in the Bhagavatam, that attentive hearing, no one can give rapt attention. You remember this? And that all ends up with, unless you're pure and you're eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So to even give rapt attention, you've got to be following, the disciplines of bhakti, so that you can give rapt attention. Otherwise, you're too distracted by your own material desires. So rapt attention, and that's what Prabhupada had for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Like when they went to see Seshashayi, and then Prabhupada said, there was only about a dozen of them that went to hear Guru Maharaj. What will I see at the Seshashayi? I mean, they're talking about a spectacular Vishnu deity. One of these three, so, lying down, and you got to have three doors to catch all the features of the divine form of the deity. So Prabhupada is hearing from, and Prabhupada, he told us, Guru Maharaj, he was speaking in such a high way. I couldn't always understand what he was saying because he was so, philosophically he was so high. But I just love to hear him speak. And that's why Bhaktisiddhanta said, he hears me very patiently. He does not go away. Right? Although the one thing did happen in that meeting. There was some person, I think he was a grihasta. It was mostly a few grihastas and mostly sannyasis that stayed. And so this person, Saraswati Thakur, said something, and then the person didn't catch it, so he leaned over to Abai to say, what did he say? Something like that. I didn't catch that. And so Abai leaned over to start speaking to him. So, first of all, Saraswati Thakur said to the man, "Oh, you think you have purchased me by your 1,000 rupee donation or whatever it was? You don't need to hear me because you purchased me by your donation." And you, pointing to, Abai. Maybe you should speak. Maybe you should come up here and speak. If you think you know, because he hadn't even said anything. He was leaning over to say something. So he could be, very strict. What is it? Hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose. So he was, he was very, okay, that was 1932. Yeah. So, So he was, he was a confidential servant, although that blessing hadn't come yet. But anyway, it was like that. So, I get lost in what was the question now? Oh, so how do we hear? Yeah, so attentive hearing. So Prabhupada loved to hear. And then there's another level, which my godbrother Mahatma Prabhu, Mahatma? He's a lot of online things. He's like a Krishna conscious self-help guru. He gives all these seminars like forgiveness and different seminars on developing Vaishnava qualities, So, so he says, when you're reading Shastra, when we're reading Shastra, we should be very attentive to what we're reading and not fall asleep. Is it true that I hear there's a joke in India, if you wanted, the cure for insomnia is the Bhagavatam? That's like a joke. If you want to fall asleep, because that's the fallen condition of the Kali Yuga, because we're so distracted by Maya that we just fall asleep when it comes to something really important. So anyway, he said, so when we read Shastra, we should be attentive, and not only that, but we should try to actually feel what's being presented here. We should enter into the context of the pastime. When like Piladeva instructing Devahuti, or when Kashyapa is with Diti, or any of the, and try to put ourselves there, so we actually feel it. And he said, I guarantee if you just try to do that, it will become more alive to you. It's not just something in a book for thousands of years ago, but it will actually, it means something to you. You'll enter into it. So we have to be more, we have to be at least attentive, and that's no small thing, right? And Krishna knows that, even when we sit down and do our japa. Right? The mind wants to just go away. And Krishna knows that. What does he say in 6:26? Yato nischalati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyam yaita latman yeva vashangdayi. From whatever and wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. Yeah. It takes practice. He's already just said that to Arjuna. Abhyasena tu kauntaya vairagena tu grihate. Constant practice and detachment. Okay, good. Still only 9:01. Oop. Oh, I saw this hand. Oh, did you already have a question before? Yesterday, okay. All right.
Prabhu, I forgot the third blessing. First blessing was that whatever he writes printed.
Yes.
Second blessing was he will do everything on it.
He will do everything. Now remember, you don't have to worry, because I do have a file I'm going to give to Acharya Randa Prabhu at the end. I'm going to send it to him, and he's going to distribute it. It's called Student Notes, and it's all the points of the, like I say here. By now we should be able to, but we forget. We need something written, right? So don't worry about it. Yeah, just know that you're going to get a written record of every point. So maybe you won't remember the stories or whatever, but you'll at least have the points, so you can pass it on, right? It's okay. Yeah, don't worry. Ma shuchaha. Don't worry, don't fear, don't hesitate. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for such a wonderful class. And you told that how we listen Shravanam. But I just want to ask you, like, how we develop the conviction of book readings, reading books, Srila Prabhupada books. Can you give some or explain us something so that we can read in a proper way? So.
How to read?
Yeah, like how to develop the conviction.
The conviction.
Yeah.
That what we're reading is the truth?
Yeah.
Or that it's important, or all of that. Yeah. Well, let's remember what Prabhupada would say. I mean, only a few of us really had, close vapu, association with Prabhupada, because he was always, one time a godbrother said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, I just want to be by your lotus feet." That would be very difficult. My lotus feet are always moving. Because 14 times in 12 years? Are you kidding me? Holy smoke. I mean, he racked up more, before they had, miles where they have the airplanes? Frequent flyer miles. I mean, he was just like always moving. Right, so so not many people had what Harishari and Shuddhakirti had, or sannyasis. They could go in for darshans or temple presidents. But what did he say? Tell us. My purports are my ecstasies. Woo! So we can believe it or not believe it, but that's what he said. If we really want to be intimate with Srila Prabhupada, we have to get to know his ecstasies. And not only the books. I think I've already said the spoken word too. Just like you've already given the spoken word, right? Yeah. So there's so much. Every day, the first thing I do when I'm doing my evacuating and bathing and dressing. That's what I'm hearing. I'm up to 1976, January 21st, morning walk, Mayapur. Is it Mayapur, January? Yeah, because it's cold. And he's there. Yeah, it's Mayapur. Wow. I mean, there's so much that you don't even get in the books. Because the books, what's Prabhupada doing in the books? He's giving us the principles, and he's giving us details too. But he's and there's only so much space you have in a purport. But this morning walk was like an hour, and so he's expanding on so many things that I never even heard before. Wow! So get to be a student of Prabhupada's spoken word, room conversations, morning walks. So much there. Prabhupada was among the most recorded people in the 20th century. Right from that, February 19th, 1966, all the way to, 1977, he was insisting that he be recorded. Because he knew. He wanted the future, or anybody who wasn't there, to hear what he was saying. Yeah. So, or someone like me, I was there, in Prabhupada's time, but as I said, I kept my distance because I was a little afraid of Prabhupada. He was like a roaring fire of Krishna consciousness. So I need those recordings too. I saw a hand from Nandi, Ma, yes.
Already.
The battery go again?
As you were talking about how do we read, and you were giving your answers, I was thinking, I will tell you what I began to think about. There's a story in Krishna book where it's discussed how Krishna, in order to educate all of us, took a spiritual master. And so Krishna would arise early in the morning and he would meditate. Well, who is he going to meditate upon but himself? And as he does this, he's struck with wonder because even he, my reading memory of this is that he cannot even find the depth of himself. So then we have Srila Prabhupada, who was writing these purports. And I have heard it said, and please correct me if you know differently, I have heard it said that he would reread his purports and he would think, where did this come from? So Prabhupada himself is amazed at this writing that is coming. He's channeling the six Goswamis, he's channeling his Guru Maharaj, he's channeling Krishna himself. And so when Prabhupada reads, he also becomes amazed. So if we can understand that what we have is amazing.
Yeah.
And if we can just try to get a glimpse of that glory, then anyway,
Yeah.
I'm trying to give you a little, just something little that you can try to do for yourself to read and relish.
No, you're right. That's it was Srila Kirti. He Prabhupada. I see you like to read your own books. Why do you read your own books? Usually a writer doesn't do that. Prabhupada said, because I haven't written these books. Krishna wrote these books. And I'm simply amazed to hear, and so therefore he had Srila Kirti read his books to him. And he would love to hear what he'd written, because he said, actually Krishna wrote, through me. And then he would, and then Srila Kirti one day said, well, so, because Srila, he would tell me these things. He would say, so then Prabhupada said, so he said to Prabhupada, so what should I read? Oh, anywhere, sugar from any side is sweet. Just open up the Krishna book, especially Krishna book. He did like Krishna book to hear that. So he said, just open it up. And so it was the pastime of the Dvidvida gorilla, Dvidvid, And so Srila Kirti noticed that Prabhupada was getting so into it. He was such a demon that he would just by moving his arms, right, he could create like tsunamis, And Prabhupada said, just see, that is real demon. Not like the tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, they're just petty demons. This is a real demon. Just by moving his arms, he can create big waves. Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah, we have such a matchless gifts. Okay. Thank you for that. Good. Anybody else? Before I run away, remember, don't come up to me when we're done. Somebody was pointing. Somebody had a question? Ooh, another one. Okay, well, you've already asked a question, but if nobody else, then you're on. Okay, again, Prabhu.
Prabhu, just you quoted this pastime of Yamuna Mataji asking Vishakhapuriam Mataji to click photo of Prabhupada in Radha temple. I always find that Yamuna Mataji had special, not Yamuna, everyone had a special reverence for Prabhupada's very special personality. Such a special personality, they attracted like madly. I would also wish to be attracted like that. So how can I do it? Of course, we heard the divine prophecy, but how do you think we can develop that?
Develop the eagerness to hear Prabhupada like Jamuna, right?
She had so much respect for Prabhupada as like something out of this world. They saw Prabhupada as Superman, something like that.
Right. Well, I'll tell you one story and then we're going to be done. This is good. This is it was Allahabad. It was Magh Mela. 1971. And so the devotees had a good spot. I forget who arranged it. I think somebody, I forget who, but somebody arranged it. And they had a good pandal. They had a pandal for Prabhupada speaking. They had pandal for the ladies' tent, men's tent, a cooking tent. Very austere, too. Different memories. So Jamuna Devi, she has this memory. It's in her, there's 2 volumes, too, about her life. Life of devotion. Because she took a lot of, she kept a journal. And so after she passed, her friend Dina Tarine wrote the books from from Jamuna's notes. So it's Ardha, it's Magh Mela, and so wow, yeah. So it was always something happening at their site, because they were and Prabhupada it was the first time that Prabhupada had brought his dancing white elephants to India, right? So Prabhupada knew that his Western disciples would be a novelty, they'd be an attraction. So a lot of people were coming, and so Jamuna said, so one day. We were getting ready for Prabhupada to come and speak in the big tent, and then and so I just before Prabhupada was to enter, so there was a lectern, and then so Jamuna just parked herself. I mean, she joined in '67 in San Francisco when it was just very small, a little family in the West. It was just just a little family. Swamiji and the ex-hippies, the recovering hippies, right? So Jamuna parked herself. She sat down right about where Prabhu is, right in front of Prabhupada, because that's what she was used to. She just loved to hear Prabhupada. Loved to hear Prabhupada speak. So there she was. She was sitting, waiting for Prabhupada to come in, and then she hears this. Jamuna. She looks behind, and it's a ISKCON sannyasi. Yeah, I think he was sannyas by then. And he said, "You see where the Indian ladies are sitting? Kind of on the side and around by the back. You should sit there." So Jamuna thought, what? What is he saying? I don't want to sit right in front of Prabhupada. What is he saying? So then she thought, I wonder what this is all about. So she decided to see what it would be like to hear Prabhupada sitting where the Indian ladies sat. In the back and behind, And then Prabhupada comes out, and he gives this, because he was always, especially, when he was speaking to the Indians in the beginning, especially, because he was there to remind them that they were neglecting their own culture. You got to remember your Vedic culture. Don't imitate the West. So then he's roaring like a lion, and then he took a lot of questions, and he's roaring answers back at them. And then it was like, Haribol! And then he goes out, and everybody bows down, and then Prabhupada goes back to his tent. He had a tent. And then all the devotees, they'd start scurrying around for the next program, whether it was Harinam or, something. Or maybe they were cleaning So then Jamuna says, so Prabhupada was sitting in his tent chanting. And the tent came down, so it came down not quite to the ground, but there was a little space, right? So Prabhupada, while he was chanting, he could see what devotee was walking by his tent by the bottom of their dhoti or the bottom of their sari. So she walked by Prabhupada's tent. She was on her way to do some seva, and all of a sudden she heard, she heard, Jamna, right? Jamna. And she, yes, Prabhupada. So she walks in, she bows down. Yes, Srila Prabhupada. You do not like to hear me anymore? Because Prabhupada knows Jamuna always sits right in front. You do not like to hear me? And this was too much. Jamuna just breaks down. Whoa, she couldn't even speak. She starts crying. And then she finally was able to speak. And she said, I'd love to hear you speak, Prabhupada, but they told me to go sit with the Indian ladies. And Prabhupada, he didn't say anything. He just looked down. He looked down. And then finally he said, this is India. This is India. It's not the Ashbury anymore in San Francisco. It's not the little Western family anymore. It's a different culture. It's a different time. It's a different place. And Prabhupada was always sensitive to that. The time, the place, the audience. He knew that people were going to be seeing how we behaved. Right? So then Jamuna said something. She had made a very intelligent question. And it was she didn't try to counter that, but she just said something. Srila Prabhupada, how many times were you with your Guru Maharaj? Oh, maybe 5 or 6 times, Prabhupada said. But they were Guru Maharaj would always talk something intimate with me. Intimate with me. And when one thing he told me, Prabhupada told her, listen to this. Guru Maharaj said, those who always wanted to be seen with him, right? Like a photo op, we say. Guru Maharaj said, they were like mosquitoes, simply sucking blood. Yeah. So then she understood that Prabhupada said, don't worry about physical intimacy. And she still had, she was that was in 71, she was serving Prabhupada in 72, we saw that picture to start the lesson. She was serving Prabhupada lunch every day. But she got it, that if I really want to be close to Prabhupada, I've got to really cultivate this service and separation mood, this Vipralamba Bhav, and she did. I mean, when we were in Jammu, I got to know her later. I got to know her in the 90s. I never knew her, in Prabhupada's time with us. And wow. Yeah. To be in her presence was like being in Prabhupada's presence. She was manifesting an aspect of Prabhupada. And so it was wonderful. Yeah. So she got it. And she cultivated that. And until the day she passed away, she was just a Prabhupada girl, in a very mature way. Not a groupie, a guru groupie, but a real deep way. So, Srimati Devi Dasi ki. So tomorrow we're going to do his ISKCON branch, and that'll be the last of the lessons for now, and then I'll be able to come back next year. Nitai Gauranga willing, please pray to them. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sureshwar Prabhu ki
Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hari Bol.